All right, thank you for staying with the Monday Report. The conversation starts right now, and we welcome all your questions at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Citizen Monday Report. My guest is already with me here in studio, Honorable Anne Ritu. She's the IEBC Commissioner, also the chair of the electoral operations, which involves the registration that's happening right now. Thank you for making time. Roy Lokale is the ICT officer, IEBC. Will be demonstrating to us the new system and how it works in just a short while. Mule Musau, National Coordinator, ELOG, and also that's an elections observation group, will be joining us online in a short while. But before we bring them in to talk about, and Mule is also already there, before we bring in Roy Lokale, the ICT officer, to demonstrate how the whole system works, let's start with the basics, Nderito. So how was the turnout today? How many people registered?
We cannot say the numbers now, because we have, truly we cannot say that we have collected the numbers because we have spent our day in the launch. But from the reports we are getting one by one from the different registration officers, we can see some registered 3, others 5. At the site where we are doing the launch, more than 15 people registered, and we left when we were still registering, meaning that Kenyans have taken the registration seriously. Yeah, so by the end of the week, probably we can be able to give comprehensive data on how many people really turned up, so that we consolidate all the data.
There have been initial reports that there's been a low voter registration turnout. Is that an area of concern for IEBC? Yes,
it is very serious. And it's a great concern to the IEBC, because once Kenyans do not turn up to register as voters, it means that they are excluding themselves from participating in their democratic processes. And by excluding yourself, then you sit there and you expect other people to make your country better by voting and choosing the leaders who shall lead after the next electoral cycle. So you exclude yourself, then you continue complaining. It's a concern. Yeah, so every Kenyan is encouraged to register and to participate in the electoral processes, because by doing that, that is how your voice is heard. Your vote becomes your voice. And by doing so, then you are able to really make decisions on behalf of your country.
Just about 5 days ago, there was an opinion poll that said 64% of Kenyans have no confidence in the IEBC.
You know, the lack of confidence of having it is a historical issue. And I don't know how they can say they don't have confidence where we are barely 76 days in office. Yeah, so it means they are looking at history. So they better wake up and trust us, because we have just come in and we want to do things differently. Not that things were not done correctly, but we want to move a notch higher from where the last commissions left. And one thing that is very clear is that Kenyans need to really start trusting public institutions, because by trusting public institutions, not only IEBC, it is you who have put those institutions through the Constitution. Then those institutions are supposed to serve you. Because the minute you have a negative perception against an institution, you can barely embrace the services that come from that institution. And by doing so, you are denying yourself your very own right that is guaranteed in the Constitution, because you are entitled to electoral services, for example, from IEBC. You are entitled to really know what is happening, and to registration services, to election services when elections come. So the minute you have a perception, then you are actually trying to deny yourself the right to get services from those institutions. So from where I see it, is a question of perception, which we need also to explain ourselves as an institution, because also trust is earned. It's not given, it's earned. And we are going to earn that trust from the Kenyan public by demonstrating that we are independent, we really mean well for the country, and we want to give the electoral services the way they are supposed to be done.
Okay, let me bring in Mule Musau on this. Mule, this issue of trust deficit, the commissioner says it's an historical issue. What can they do to deal with this trust deficit from your perspective?
Okay, thank you very much, Trevor. I hope you can be able to hear me from there. I just want in fact to make a correction that I am not in Belgium. I'm in Moldova. I flew from Belgium to Moldova they were having parliamentary elections yesterday. So we observed those elections, and there'll be, of course, some few tidbits I can be able to share from this election. But let me hit straight to the question. First, I'm happy that you have Commissioner Anderito there because she's a very experienced hand as far as matters to do with the registration process is concerned. Before she became the officer of the registration for the registrar for political parties, she was actually in the registration office of IEBC before. So she knows everything to do with the voter register. But let me hasten also now to talk about the issue of confidence. I agree with her that it is a historical issue. And yes, IEBC has suffered that because of whatever other legacies which have been left there by the predecessors, the previous office. This is a new office, but it must carry the burden of the past office, because what Kenyans know right now is that they only know IEBC. They don't know anybody else. They don't know whether there was a past commission, there's a present commission, there's a future commission. They just want their elections to be conducted in a good way. And that is where perhaps, that used to be something that they pick up basically from the first day they run into the office. So I'm very happy that when she says they are going to be able to work on that. Few things that I think needs to be put in place if you're going to move forward in terms of creating confidence. First is we are never very sure. So many things have been overtaken by events. We had to have a boundary review last year. There were so many by-elections which are now being scheduled for 27th of November. There's a reform process which has not been undertaken, delayed because we never had a commission in office. So among the first things is to lay out a very clear schedule of calendar that allows Kenyans to know what first needs to be undertaken between now and 2027. A very clear trajectory, an election plan, which is also very clear, so that Kenyans first get to understand that these are the things that we need to look out forward. Secondly, when it comes to the issues that they are dealing with every of the issues that they are going to deal with, whether it is now the exercise which has just started about voter registration, they need to be able to first be able to give a status report. Where are we? The first thing, among the first things I would want to ask as far as the voter register is concerned is we do have a voter register. What is the status of the current voter register itself? And then even as we register, because we know that the law says that there's supposed to be a continuous process, and they have just started that or restarted that, so that's a good sign. But we also need to, at the same time, to answer to the question, what is the status of the current register? Is it a clean register? Can we be able to trust it moving forward? Do we need to do some cleaning? Do we need to do some assessment? Once that has been done, then the Kenyans already will have an assurance. Now we are working from a clean slate. We are adding on to a clean slate, and then we move on over to the other aspects. And lastly, every of the other processes that are going to undertake should be pro-people. I mean, I'm very happy about the fact that this was launched in Kajiado. I mean, that's symbolic. You want people to where the people are, but can we also have all those processes exactly the same way? Transparency of the processes. I'm happy that you have an officer in the studio who is going to display or at least showcase how those machines work. That is exactly as it should be. So can we continually have this kind of process where there's transparency, there's stakeholder outreach? And when you're talking about stakeholder outreach, let's know there are marginalized communities, there are people who don't access the kind of spaces that ordinary Kenyans access, but also let's remember that the younger generation, should be among the biggest group which is being targeted in this new exercise, are digital savvy. So even the access should be provided through the digital means. So let me stop at that as my first point. Thank you.
All right, I'll get back to you in just a short while, but also joining us on call is Willis Otieno. Willis Otieno is the deputy party leader, Safina Party. Willis, what are your questions to the commissioner?
The first thing thank you very much, that I wish the commissioner to address is when we talk about continuous voter registration, the issue of sensitization. How do we mobilize our people to come out to register as voters? It is not enough to say that they should go to the constituency registration centers or the constituency managers' offices to do the registration. Does the commission have in place mechanism to ensure that the outreach gets to the people wherever they are, have them register as voters? Because the continuous registration of voters is a constitutional dictate. And the IEBC should not leave at the point of come to our offices. Does the IEBC have mechanisms to ensure that they are able to reach people wherever they are to benefit from this exercise?
Okay.
Yes.
That's it? All right. Thanks, Willis.
That's the first question. The other question that I was going to ask is on the question of after this registration, the regulations require of us to do an inspection of the voter register, open it up, publish it, and allow Kenyans to inspect the register and verify that the details are accurately and correctly captured. In the last elections, you noticed some of the issues that were raised in the petition number 5 related to the questions of the authenticity of that register. There were the Embakasi clerks who had made so many changes on the register, and the KPMG audit had raised several issues as to the authenticity of the register that was used in the elections. What mechanisms have the Commission put in place to ensure that the issues that were raised by the KPMG audit of the voter register are addressed, and that by the time we are going to have an election using this register, we will have a register that benefits from public confidence and has undergone proper public scrutiny and has the confidence and support of all Kenyans. And then finally, one thing also that I raise on the question of the register is whether the Commission has put in place mechanism to ensure that in terms of sharing information on the register, it's not only limited to political parties, but it's allowed to the owners of the register, who are the people of Kenya. Thank you very much, Trevor.
All right. Thanks, Willis. Commissioner, we can start first of all with Mule Musawi. He raised quite a number of issues to restore confidence. He said the issue of having a calendar of events, status report, where are we, status of the current voter register, which is the same as what Willis has raised, and the pro-people transparency of the processes and stakeholder outreach.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think the first thing, every election process have an electoral cycle, and we are in the post-election cycle. The first thing that we are very clear is that we need to have an operational plan.
The pre-election cycle.
The pre-election cycle.
Yeah.
So that we have the operational plan. So that answers him on the question of transparency of what we are doing, where we detail. An operational plan details every activity, every event that will happen towards the general elections, and of course with timelines and with the stakeholder mapping. Currently, we are just finishing on the issue of the strategic plan, which stems, where the operational plan stems from. And once we put every activity, it will be open and it will be available for every stakeholder. As a question of making sure that we are restoring public confidence, I think the parameters of restoring public confidence start with communication and explaining yourself. You can do so much so well, but if there's nobody who knows what you are doing, he thinks that there's something evil you are doing. Yeah, so the one thing that we must do, and we shall continue to do, and that's where I'm here this late evening, is to ensure that we are telling Kenyans every bit of the way what we are doing, and that is transparency. And we keep informing them through our channels, through media, through our channels, through our even our digital platforms and everywhere, so that Kenyans now can start feeling that we are telling them what we are doing.
Commissioner, can this transparency start by first telling Kenyans how many voters you've registered on a daily basis? Or do you want to do this every week?
Maybe every week.
Because if you're targeting 6.3 million Kenyans, Kenyans would want to tally and see how many you got at the end of the registration.
Exactly, that's what we shall be doing.
So this will be a weekly event.
That will happen, maybe fortnightly. Maybe we can say about fortnightly, so that we are able to really collect. You know, we have a whole 290 constituencies, and the way we collect data. Maybe we can say fortnightly, and tell them this is how the far that we have gone. The other issue that Mule Musau is asking is whether, I think it's Willis who is asking about reaching out to the Kenyans.
Mechanisms for outreach.
For outreach.
That IEBC has.
Yeah. Now, but I think we are doing two phases of this continuous voter registration. The first one is the one we are basing it at the office level, where the people can walk into IEBC offices. At the IEBC office, we are going to meet two kits. One kit is localized to that constituency. Another kit is open to any other Kenyan who can walk into that particular office. The other area that we are going to register is at Huduma Center. We are just recruiting clerk and preparing them to go to all the Huduma Centers in Kenya. That is accessibility.
So they're not accessible now?
Yeah, for Huduma Center, we are in the process of just finishing up.
Okay.
But for constituency and everything is set and it kickstarts today. In a week or 2 times, then we shall have the Huduma Center clerks all over the country.
Okay.
For continuous voter registration is it's open throughout the period up until a few months to the general election. The second level of activity will be what we call the enhanced CVR. This one, we are going to reach now to the grassroots. We go to the ward level. We give mobile services to voters where our clerks will go to where they are. If they meet you in the farm, they are able to register you. If they meet you in church, they're able to register you. If they meet you at home, wherever in the marketplace, provided they are able to get you and tie you to a polling station within that particular ward. So we are rolling out to reach out to the people, and this is after the by-election. You have to realize that in the by-election areas, we don't register people during the period of election. So we shall reserve the going to the grassroots after the by-election so that we are all together with the areas that we have by-election.
There's another question you raised on the inspection of the voter register and whether you have mechanisms to deal with the issues that were raised from the KPMG report.
The first thing, inspection of register is done every other day, where Kenyans, we even have a link. I think it's verify.ol.ke, verify@ibc.ol.ke. That's a link. Any Kenyan, anytime, can verify your details. You just check whether you are a registered voter, and then after that, if you think that there are any particular that is missing or anything, you are able to go and make, like especially now that we have open CVR, then you are able to make your data captured.
So that is one level, Commissioner. The other level is the issues that were raised by KPMG audit report. They indicated that there were some dead voters. In that case, it's IEBC to clean up that voter register.
I want to imagine, and I think it's true, that the previous commission, even before the general election, did something. But, you know, people keep dying every other day. So the one thing that we must do is audit of the register.
And are you auditing the register?
No, not right now, after some time. After some time, indeed, we want to audit and certify, then continue registering and audit again and certify.
So what is the plan? How do you intend to do this? The calendar events like what Mule was saying. So at this particular point, is a mass voter
right now, once we finish, for example, a period of mass voter registration, like CVR, and we have significant numbers, and we have now done the duplication and people are in the register, that is the only time then you can audit register when you have significant numbers that have come on the register. Also for cost effectiveness, because you cannot register 1,000 people and then you now want to audit the register. You want to register a significant number, then come audit the register, certify, because you shall see, we shall have people who are auditing the register. And then after that, you continue registering and you keep making sure that you are verifying how the register is looking like. And that includes duplication, removing of duplicates, removing of dead voters. Of course, we shall collaborate with other government agencies because we don't keep the register of dead Kenyans. We have the people who keep the register of births and death, who will be a very good collaborator in telling us who are these dead Kenyans. And we are able to remove them so that the register continues to be accurate and complete. So in a nutshell, what we are saying is that our aim is to reach every Kenyan, to be as inclusive as possible, and to ensure that the register is accurate, complete, and it's able to really be inclusive. Every Kenyan who needs to be registered is actually in that register. His
final question was, why will you ensure that all Kenyans have access to this voter register, not just the political parties?
I think we are aiming to register Kenyans, whether they are mobilized by political parties, or you are saying in terms of getting the full register?
Exactly.
I don't think
that anyone can make their own audits.
You see, we work as provided by the law. If the law does not provide, we give to any Kenyan, then why should we give to any Kenyan? Because there's also the law of data protection. You must have the purpose of use. The minute you request for that register, why are you using it? Where do you want to use it? Because this is personal data, so we cannot give to everybody. Even the one we give to political parties, we don't give all the complete data. We truncate some of the information. So we are guided by the law who should actually be given the register and at what time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a new system you're using now, and I think we can go to that and see how it looks like. And Roy Locale is here. Roy Locale is the ICT office in the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission. This new system is supposed to be using the IRIS system, and also in integration with the KIMS-KIT, which is integrated into the Kenya Integrated Election Management System, right? So Roy Locale is here. You can just demonstrate how this entire system works. So what is this about? And Commissioner, you can also jump in as he demonstrates on this.
Okay. Thank you, Trevor. The IRIS you mentioned is part of the improvements that the Commission has made in the technology and many other aspects. For instance, I want to show the difference between the system we've been using for registration. It's called the BVR, Biometric Voter Registration Kit. This is the Biometric Voter Registration Kit, and this is the current kit for registration, the continuous voter registration. As you can see, the bulk and inefficiencies that may arise from using the BVR kit.
Okay.
Yes.
So if I have a Gen Z who's one of our interns who's never registered before, can you do that for her?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
She will walk in just now so that you can do the whole process.
Okay, that's in order.
Yes.
Yes.
She's right there next to you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello. How are you? Yes. As I was saying, the improvements are a lot. Like Madam Commissioner said, there's a lot of mechanisms that have been put in place to ensure that the technology and many other aspects are better than what we had before. Okay. And from here...
I'm thinking before you register, maybe you say, what did we use before?
And you can also jump in and just say, give us the difference.
From here, this is what we are. This is the complete biometric voter registration. We had the laptop that was used to input data.
Okay.
And then we had this as the fingerprint scanner for then. And then these are the batteries that supply power to the laptop. And in some instances, we even had solar panels provided on top of these for the officers to go around with. So as you can see, all that has been replaced with this one, with the gadget here. We have the scanner here. We have the cameras. We have a few here and others here that are able to capture your image, to scan your ID, and to scan your iris, as you had mentioned before. Okay. So that is part of the mechanisms and the improvements that we have put in place.
And Trevor, you also know that that particular gadget is also what we use for voter identification. So it's everything in one, in this particular gadget. So when you come to voting, the same gadget now, tablet become now the voter identification device.
Okay.
Yeah,
so this time you're moving from all that
now to come to this one. So as you can imagine, a registration officer moving around with that box to go to reach the Kenyans in the market and know that how bulky it was.
So that will no longer be the case?
That will no longer be the case. The case will be this one, this tablet, yes.
Isn't that in itself a risk as well?
Why?
Damage, loss.
Because of its portability.
Exactly.
No, but I think the fact that it's portable, you're able to protect it more as opposed to that one, because it's not feasible. You can this is a gadget I can put in my handbag and close and go and register people. But everybody will see me carrying the big box and know that is a voter registration kit that we are going with. And it's easier for it to be stolen more than this other one. Unless it's the officer who has a problem, this is more protectable.
Okay. Yeah. So how many of these new kits do you have?
Currently, we have about 15,000, which we are able to deploy when the times come to the ward level.
And how many more do you need for the actual election?
That depends after voter registration.
Yeah.
How many voters shall we get, so that we're able to calculate how many polling stations we shall need at that particular time.
All right. Roy, you can continue with the whole voter registration so that we see how this whole system works, and you can talk through it as we go on so that we see this one is a new voter, that I am certain.
Or so we think.
Okay.
So let me highlight the process.
Yeah.
When you walk in as a voter, our officers, the first thing they do is search you as to confirm whether you're a voter or not. Because there are cases that people want to either they want to register twice for whatever reason.
Or move to a different place.
Yes, that is different. Transfer is different from double registration. There are many cases of double registration, as we had seen from the previous register. That was part of the issues that KPMG had mentioned in the audit. So that is what we are doing to eliminate double registration. Okay. So what do? The first thing we do is we search the voter. Okay. And I've done that with Marion. And as we had said, we thought she has not registered, but the system has picked that she had registered, and we have her details here. Oh, so
Marion is not a first time voter?
It's not a first time, yes. She is a voter at Karen Ward, Multimedia University. Okay. So we inform her that you're already registered, unless you wish to change your details, which are here. Okay. Which if she doesn't, or she wants to transfer. Okay. Yeah.
So now Marion is already registered, therefore you cannot do any more. You can't pick any other.
We can only transfer at this point. She may transfer from there to a different polling station.
Okay. Yes. And you don't need any more biometrics from her, because at that point you didn't use the iris. So is it necessary to use it now?
For transfer, part of the improvement we've done is upon request for transfer, you will also need to put your biometrics. When you put your biometrics, we need to confirm that the person, the Marion that has come to ask for transfer, is the same Marion that had registered previously. Okay. To take care of cases of people suspicious registration of transfer of people. Okay. Yes. All right. So that is the case.
So that does it for Marion. Let's bring in Kevin now.
We can see. We try again, Kevin.
On that as well. Just walk in with your ID as well. Okay. Thank you, Marion. You're a registered voter. All the best. Let's see let's see how Kevin's ID looks like. Yes. So we verify that.
So we search again. We search Kevin.
As they Trevor. Yeah. Notice that before using that kit, there was no scanner. So it meant that you really have to key in data. Oh, no. We are not scanning ID. This one, when you scan the ID, you are getting directly the data from the ID. You are pulling them from NRB data, from ID itself. That of course reduces transposition errors and allows the data as it was originally was, so that you don't come, you say that my Milliam is spelled with an L, and this other one is spelled with an R. We are capturing as the way your ID is.
Okay. So let's see how that one turns out.
Yes. I might also need to highlight that part of the issues that we had in the previous register was use of invalid documents, right? People were coming with fake either IDs or fake passport. And with this system, we did not have a way of verifying. So what we do with this one, the search is usually with the MRZ code behind the ID. So that is what we use to scan. That validates the ID first, and it also, as I see, I validate that Kevin, this one is the same Kevin that has brought the.
So that brings in a very interesting aspect, Roy, because there's that ID which Kevin has. That's almost like the new generation ID.
Yes.
And then there's the old IDs. Yes. Can you still do the same?
Yes, we have.
Not even the Maisha cards, the old IDs, the ones that my
old IDs.
Yeah, my grandmother.
Actually, I have one old here. It still scans.
Okay. It still scans.
It scans all the 3 generations of IDs.
Okay.
Yes. All right. So we've scanned Kevin, and he's not a registered voter.
All this
it shows. Yes. So we go ahead and register.
Does he confirm that he's not?
Kevin, all this time you've never registered as a voter.
Okay. So moving forward, to capture his details, also we do not enter manually his names, his age, his document number, because we are trying to eliminate errors. Okay. That is also another issue that was an issue. That was also another issue that we picked with the previous register, or was picked by the audit report, that we had a lot of invalid entries, and most of them were because of keystroke errors. So what have we done? We scan our ID. The moment you scan ID, it populates. As you can see, it populates the details.
Okay. Hold it like that for a bit. Let's see if we can zoom in and get a clearer picture of that, and without exposing Kevin's details too much. So Yeah. Okay, so it captures the IDs and the details. That's
yes,
fine.
as we see, it has picked the ID number, including the serial number, so that shows that it's a legit document that Kevin has.
Okay.
It has picked his date of birth and calculated for us Kevin's age. So the only thing that I might need to put at this point is to take care of Kevin if he's a person with disability or with special needs. So I ask Kevin, do you have any special needs that we need to put in the register? Yes, so if it does, well and good. If it doesn't, we proceed.
Okay.
Yes.
And then the next question would be?
Now he goes to the polling center.
Okay.
Where does Kevin want to register? Yes.
Okay.
This kit, we locked it to North Menti returning officer.
So that one is locked to North Menti?
Not North Menti, okay. Yes. So as a returning officer for North Menti, I can only populate the wards and the polling stations for North Menti, yes. Okay. So for demonstrations, we will take Kevin through the Nini, but we will not validate his registration.
Okay.
Yes.
Because he has to choose that. That also brings another concern, because what if, do you have to know where you need to register?
Where you need to vote.
People, there's some people who don't know. I mean, young people in the city and they want to go to the village, they don't know where the polling stations are.
Speak randomly for that.
But you take them through the polling stations.
Okay.
Because at least they know which is the neighboring primary school,
okay,
which is the neighboring church, which office of the chief, where it is, you see. And then you take them through the list, because the polling stations and wards are pre-listed.
So this is an interesting conversation, Commissioner, because you're doing two things now.
Yes, yes.
There's a continuous voter registration for the new voters.
Yes.
And then there's those who are existing voters, but they want to transfer.
Yes.
So if somebody wants to transfer from, say, Nairobi to Kisumu, do they go to Kisumu where they're transferring, or do they come to Nairobi? And are you able to transfer them from Nairobi?
I think I explained that we have two kits in every constituency, and even in Huduma Center, that are open. Open means that they can register anybody from anywhere within the country. They can also transfer your details anywhere from wherever you have met the kit to take you to the area that you want to be.
Yeah.
And the game changer here is that as opposed to the previous transfer of voters, you have to bring your biometrics for you to be transferred. Initially, you just needed to fill a form, and then using that form, then the registration officer can key in data and then transfer you to the area you want to go. This time, you cannot be transferred until you bring your biometrics. So
you have to be physically
there. You have to be physically there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there was also a concern that people went to the polling stations and they don't find their details. Some people say that I'm transferred from Nairobi to here and I'm not
that is what we intend to cure. By tying the transfer of a voter to you verifying your biometrics that it is you actually who want to transfer, that is exactly why we are saying you must appear personally.
Okay.
And of course also that is an audit of the register issue and the inspection of the register. So that Kenyans must continually verify their registration details so that when we are heading to election, you are sure which polling station you are in. Should there be any error that probably due to the last audit issues, it is not clear, then you are able to correct your details as fast as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me allow Roy to finish with Kevin, because Kevin is on duty actually. Yeah.
Okay, so we've captured the fingerprint.
Okay.
We are now capturing. Kevin might want to come.
Okay. So that is the iris capture now.
This is the face.
The face, just a general face.
We have three. We have with this one we had two biometric identifiers. That was the fingerprint and the face scan.
Okay.
But with the new system, we have added a third layer of the iris scan.
Okay.
Yes. So we've captured the fingerprint and the face. Now we go to the iris. Yes.
Okay.
Then we might have to open up a bit wide.
Okay.
So we've captured the iris. There it is.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
At that point, is it now complete?
No.
Okay.
The next two level is to make Kevin accountable for this registration. Like Madam Commissioner has mentioned, we've had cases of questionable transfers or registration. Somebody said they took my document and went to register, or they didn't even have my document. So we are arresting that one by making Kevin sign on the tablet, and also we capture that he came with this document to register. Okay. So we have that one. We capture. We've captured his ID, and then now next we ask him to sign. Okay. Yes, using his finger on the system.
As he signed, you see you can register using your passport or your ID. So the importance of which document you brought to registration center is very important. That's why you must capture it in the as part of your registration evidence.
And that means on the D-Day, then you must have that same document.
Same document.
You cannot come with your passport now instead of the ID.
You must come. You must appear with the same document that you used to register.
Okay.
So Kevin has signed.
Yeah. Yes. You can just turn it around. We will see from here.
Or the signature.
We are not going to validate as we are agreed.
Yes.
Okay.
So he has signed.
Yes.
Then now next, we populate all the data. This is what we have captured so far. So we ask him to confirm again finally. Is everything captured well? Once it is, now we successfully submit ours. Okay. Yes.
You can turn it around like this so that we see all the details without validating. Just scroll through so that we see how they captured all those details. You can see
this is the personal details here. Okay. And then the polling station. Yeah. The fingerprints. The face capture. And the iris, and then the ID that you captured, and then the signature. Okay. Yes. So if I'm to finish this one to validate, that means Kevin will be a voter in Meru.
In Imenti.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
But for now, we will not go there. So that is.
So Kevin need to go and register.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kevin. Kevin will fall out.
Thanks.
So Roy, when we talk of data privacy, and this is something that also Commissioner and Roy can jump in on this, there were concerns that this is rather. It is a lot of information. Yeah. How do you protect that information from being abused? Yeah.
One, I've had people asking the legality of especially capturing the iris and all the data, biometric data we are capturing. If you look at the Section 2 of the Elections Act, it actually stipulates what they mean by biometrics. And you'll be surprised, it's more than that, including DNA. Yeah. Taking your DNA is part of biometrics we can use, including taking your earlobes, using your earlobes as part of the biometric. But as we are using only, I think 3. We are using the fingerprints, we are using your face recognition, and now we have added the iris. So we are not taking so much data. If you look at that section, it provides very many information that you can pick as, and it's in law. So we are not doing something that is out of the law. Okay. Secondly, in terms of data protection, you see the Data Protection Act says that when you collect data, you must use it for the purposes that you have collected it. So one important issue is to make sure that the IEBC register is only used by IEBC for purposes of voting. Okay. That's why when we are giving you the register, including the political parties, we shall truncate some details. So you don't have a complete register. It's only IEBC that is allowed to have complete details, everything that are in that register. Okay. And we use it for the purposes of election. And we have done data impact assessment every other time. We have signed data privacy. Yeah. And we are really following also in terms of the Data Protection Act. Okay. And we also registered processors by the Data Commissioner. Okay. So, and we shall work closely with Data Commissioner to still improve our safeguards.
So for clarity purposes, and before I ask that question, let me bring in Kasmuel Makoure is now joining us on call. Kasmuel, good evening. It's good to have you with us. What questions do you have for the Commissioner?
Hi, Trevor. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And first, I'd like to applaud the Commissioner for the work that they're doing at IEBC. I've had the chance to interact with the Commission and ask tough questions about elections past. And most of those questions have been sufficiently answered in closed-door meetings. But I would like to ask that while the capturing of details accurately and ensuring that adequate reporting are important, Kenyans are more concerned in the restoration of trust in the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. I'd like to ask, Madam Commissioner, what measures the IEBC is taking to rebuild the trust of Kenyans and to safeguard the Commission from perceptions of state capture, especially with the sensitivity of the upcoming 2027 elections?
Okay. Thank you, Kasmuel. You'd answered part of that, but you can just
I can reflect that. Thank you, Kasmuel, for that question. And I want, first of all, to really thank you as a young person. And I know you shall help us in mobilizing young people to come out and register as voters. In terms of restoring confidence, I think there are two parameters of, or maybe three, of restoring confidence. First of all is openness. Doing things transparently and openly, and trying to explain every detail so that people don't suspect that there's something that is being done behind their back. The second one is that is part of communication. Yeah. The second one is keeping your word. You are trusted before you told people this, and this is also what we are doing. That's how trust is earned. And if you change in between for circumstances that are beyond yourself, you come back to the same people and explain, I told you I'm going to do ABCD because probably I don't have enough funds. I'm going to change strategy. Now the strategy will be ABCD. I think, and that aspect is doing the right thing and following the rule of law. And the rule of law means that they are laid down procedures, they are laid down processes, and it's us who have agreed there are laws that have been passed by Parliament. We just follow that law. Okay. That is what restores, from where I start, that is what restores trust. And that's what we are aiming to do, using the law and fidelity to the law, and then always explaining ourselves. Even when we change strategy, we come back and explain, and always work openly and independently, and also be able to just demonstrate independence.
All right. So for clarity purposes, first of all, are we still using the KIMS system, the Kenya Integrated Election Management System?
Yes, and that is what we are going to that is what we are going to use, and that is what is contained in that tablet that we have just demonstrated.
When some of your commissioners appeared in Parliament, the concern was that some of those kits are obsolete. Has that been rectified? Or is that
now, we have said that we have around 15,000. I can comment, it's around that figure. Those are kits that are operational, and that is what we are using for voter registration. The other kits are these BVR kits that are obsolete. Like for example, for registration.
So all the BVR kits
all the BVR kits, we want to phase them out. And then add these 14,000 once we confirm how many voters we have registered and how many polling stations we have registered. Then we add on top of these 14,000 kits that now will be enough to learn for the general election.
So you still don't know how many you need to add?
We can only speculate, but we really need to know how many voters have we registered.
The reason that is surprising is because you gave an estimate of 7 billion shillings. That's money used to buy the kits that are obsolete. That
is just an estimate. It can even go higher. If voters, Kenyans, turn in many more numbers than IEBC expect, then the kits can go higher. But we are estimating from a perspective, for example, now we have said that we aim to register 6.3 Kenyans. Using that projection is where we are arriving at 7 billion. But Kenyans can go beyond that, because what we have done in projection this time, instead of looking only at Kenyans who probably will turn 18 according to census data and NRB data, the National Bureau of Statistics data, which project every year how many Kenyans will have turned 18, we have zeroed down to how many Kenyans have national IDs, all have registered to get IDs. That is a more accurate projection, and that is what is translating to 6.3, and that is what we have used in terms of calculating how much money we would need for for the next general election. But it is possible that we can surpass even that 6.3. When we surpass, then we can only add the kids according to the number of polling stations that we resort as a result of that.
Okay.
However, we are also very intentional in terms of wanting to cut cost. Once we register also, if they exceed, we can check whether we can change the law with the support of Parliament, so that instead of capping registration at 700, a polling station at 700 voters, we maybe increase to 1,000. You know, the polling station is the cost driver of every election. Okay. So if you increase the number of voters from 700 to 1,000, what that means is that you reduce the number of polling station. So that can be also a consideration for cost effectiveness. Okay. Yeah.
I'll bring in Jeremiah in a short while, but also Mule Musau is still with us as well. He's still online and from Moldova. Mule, listening to what Commissioner is saying, are we heading in the right direction as an observation group?
Well, if you ask me, if the demo which was just done by Roy there is anything to go by, I would say that is going in the right direction. And in fact, that confirms for me the earlier statement I'd made. First, confirm to us the status. They have just confirmed to us the status of the old BVR kits. Then after that, show us the next way forward. So what I was saying is, I think my major issue here would be, what is the consistency of that? Can we maintain that consistency? Can we have that as a starting point and, move to that registration process, to the by-election, to the boundary review, to the electoral reforms, with that kind of consistency, discussing those issues in the same manner? ELOG identified 6 major areas where confidence, which affected the confidence of Kenyans in elections. And one of the areas was the question of the gaps in law. So the question around the electoral reform, some of the issues, Ali is even talking about a very interesting proposal if it was to come through in terms of reduction of cost. So what are the issues that we need to attend to very quickly in terms of the law, so that we can be able to have a predictable electoral process? You don't want laws which are being changed very late in the day. They make everything very uncertain. So if that calendar I was talking about, you have that in place, you have the question of fraud. We have seen people who've committed offenses in elections. What is the action? Is IEBC able to follow with the same traction over the fraud which is committed during elections, whether it's about electoral offenses or otherwise? The cost drivers and the cost of election is another major problem that we have in our elections. Cost-cutting measures need to be identified. The commissioner has talked about getting new kits. We know from our past historical, of course, records that when Kenya has been buying the equipment at a much more expensive price than comparatively with other jurisdictions. So that's one area of the procurement process itself is a big issue. It needs to be made transparent. It needs to be for people. It needs to be one that there needs to be a lot of scrutiny and interrogation into that process. If they can promise that they can be able to do these things again in a good way, that will one of the other cost drivers, and the commissioner has talked about the polling station as a cost driver. We hire cars for all the 46,000 polling stations. Maybe they're going to be 50,000 now. The government has vehicles. We use public facilities for polling as polling centers. Why is it rocket science to be able to talk to the government, to be able to provide logistics in terms of ensuring that the material for IEBC gets all over the place? And my last point is there's an aspect of activism, or at least a positive posture by IEBC that will be very good in terms of trying to restore the confidence Kenyans have. You've heard what Kasmuel has asked about state capture. We must see a drive towards independence. We must see a posture that is very positive and very stoic from the commissioners and the entire team in terms of defending the position of the commission when it comes to implementing the electoral process activities, so that they are not seen to be, they're being swayed one way or the other by especially those people in power or the government or even parliament. We need to see the commission being strong being very principled and being pro-people. And part of that is what the activism I'm talking about. Part of why the judiciary today, it may have its own problems. But remember from the 2013 elections and the establishment of the JCE, the Judicial Committee on Elections, posture was taken by the judiciary to be very activist. And I don't mean activist in a very negative way. It is in a way to deliver, to try to deliver, because we are of course, we don't have the kind of environment that we expect everything is going to be okay. But we need to be, a positive posture is the one which led to some of those very stoic and very strong decisions that the judiciary has been able to make. We want IEBC to take the same posture moving forward. So it's consistency. What they've done today, and we see it tomorrow, and we see it all the way to the 10th of August in 2027. That would be my take.
Thank you, Mule. Mule Musau there speaking to us from Moldova online. Now we want to take some more questions from different people. Mule, I'll allow you to head out now. Thank you so much for speaking to us and allow the commissioner to respond. Or should we take a call from Jerry Kahiga, a youth leader, also part of the DCP team, and then we hear from the commissioner on this and take in more questions from the people. Yes, Jerry, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Trevor. Thank you so much for this opportunity. This is Njeri Kahiga from Nyandarua County. And my question, I want to focus on the biometric recognition. And my question would be, now that it's only happening to new voters, and these are the category of voters called Gen Z, how sure are we it's not intentional Gen Z registration suppression, bearing in mind no civic education has been given around the process? In fact, for me, I've seen today on the first time on Citizen when they were demonstrating about the iris part. And then how safe is the Gen Z category data? Because in this case, this addition of biometric recognition highlights data. If anybody has access to that whole data, you can be able to tell which category of people have registered from 2025 to that 2027. Why not uniformity instead of discriminative? Because I feel it's quite discriminative, and a generation that has been a thorn in the flesh for this government, I feel like the Gen Z would shy away from it because they feel already you are highlighting us by the way you are using an additional recognition of the biometrics. Then again, in terms of boundary review, how are we going to deal? With this boundary review? Because if we look at our constitution, it has stipulated about the duration to which we were supposed to have the reviews done, which was supposed to be from 2020 to 2024. Are they going to still do it? And if they are going to do it, how prepared are they? And do we have enough time? And if we don't have enough time, how are they going to deal with the fact that this is going to be a question that can raise the legality of the results? Anybody can go to court and say the boundary reviews was not done in time, so the results are not even legit. The whole constitutionalism part of it. And also, again, to finally weigh in still in terms of the trust deficit that the Gen Z have with this government, because we have an issue with the fact that we've seen independent institutions, Parliament, Senate, National Police Service, everybody talk about how independent they are. But when the time for action comes, we always see a very different picture, because IEBC is telling us that they are very independent. How sure are we as a generation that they'll not still give us the same thing that every other institution that has become an extension of the government? And finally, if I was to also ask, how are they prepared to deal with another Cherara moment whereby among the commissioners there are differences? How ready are they? Because it has happened. We as a nation are worried when discrepancies are going to arise. How do they intend to solve them? And this time, in a way that does not leave people in tension, in a way that does not leave a certain duration of time between August and September, where Kenyans feel high tensions, risk of all types of political heightened activities that might happen at that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jerry.
That would be my question for today.
Thanhanks, Jerry. Jerry Kahiga, the youth leader also from the DCP. There are quite a number of questions, so let's hold on of the calls first. Let's not take any more calls for now and start with what Mule had raised. First of all, the consistency of these kits that Mule was asking. How sure are we? I just want you to answer them in 30 seconds each so that we answer them one by one.
The consistency is guaranteed to the extent that we have enough kits that we are taking to the grassroots when the time comes after the by-election.
For now. For the elections, because that will also
after the by-election. After the by-election. No, we have budget for going to the enhanced voter registration, which goes to the ward level. For maybe a month or 2 or 3, we are able to carry out for some time. Then after that, of course, upon expiry of that budget, we shall still revert back to the continuous voter registration at the office level. So the most important thing is to take advantage of this open chance for all the young people and everybody, not only the young people, anybody who is not registered, to come out and get registered. So the idea of consistency, we have started a technology, we have moved from BVL, we are now at KIEMS, and that is the route to go.
That's what you'll hold to the end.
That is what we are holding to the end.
Electoral reforms, what electoral reforms do you need?
First, there are many electoral reforms that we can need, but top on the list is to relook at the gaps that were identified after the last general election. Every time there's a general election, there's always a post-election review and a report that come out. That post-election review have really raised some gaps, and those are some of the gaps that we need to address. Observer reports also have raised some gaps, and that is what we need to address. One of the issues...
As a team, you're yet to put it together and say, these are the issues we want to address.
We are processing. We are actually in the process of processing what we need to take to Parliament. Not that we know it's a process. We need to audit what was done. Already there are bills we have made. Quite a number of them are prepared by the Secretariat. So we just need to own them and try to put in our mind and thought in it, because already those issues we are talking about have been captured.
You've only been in office for 80 days, so it's understandable. IEBC action plan against electoral offences.
But I wanted to say in that regard, one of the areas we are looking at is, for example, resort management, which have been talked over and over again. Can we do it differently? Are there additional features that we can add in resort management, just like we are adding for voter registration? Then we can look at the resort management, pre-registration of voters. For example, we aim to bring in a system not long ago from now, where you pre-register from where you are, then you come only for the capturing of biometrics, then at the registration center. That requires also some either operational reform. That is squarely an operational reform, not necessarily a legal reform, because it's just the same process. So when we talk about
action against electoral offences that will then restore confidence.
Action against electoral offences start from right from our own staff, which we are very candid and clear, and there's already a law that is being processed in Parliament. You carry your own crews. Once you do electoral offence and you deliberately do so, there's the issue of for public good. You are doing something in good intention, then it's an error. But when you intentionally come against the law, then you have to carry your own burden. Then there's the question of the candidate themselves. The candidate must also observe the election code of conduct. And the political party's code of conduct.
Cost-cutting measures.
To ensure that in whichever way they do, they're also recognizing that the law exists and they must obey it.
There was cost-cutting measures that was raised by Mule, saying that why do you continue hiring vehicles? Why don't you use government vehicles? And is there anything you're looking at as cost-cutting measures? Because the election in Kenya is the most expensive.
Now, I want to give you a very candid response to that. The reason why we can't use government vehicles is for the same reason: trust deficit. If you see a GK, do you know even electoral officials fear to go around with GK vehicles? Because if you walk around as GK, if the Kenyans have an issue with a government, they think also it should be transferred to IEBC. Do you know in many jurisdictions where election cost is low, they even use public servant. Even our neighbors here use public servant as electoral officials. Instead of hiring new people and give new salaries, you mop up all public servants, and then you make public servant work as electoral officials, and they trust their own process. When it comes to government vehicles, first of all, it's that trust issue. Secondly, I do not think also government has so many vehicles. Unless now you stop the operation of government during election, I don't think government has so many vehicles that can all be mobilized. A number can be used, but not all of them.
Okay.
But then maybe that one may need public participation. If Kenyans can agree with us, I think it's a cutting measure. Yeah. And so it is to use public officers as part of electoral officials.
But do you have any as IEBC that you intend to use as cost-cutting measures?
What they?
Are there any plans for cost-cutting?
I have already mentioned one on the question of polling station, increasing the number of polling stations. You know, half of the budget of the commission actually, operational budget apart from procurement, actually goes to staff. When you reduce the number of polling stations, you have reduced staff, you have reduced vehicles, you have reduced the people who are operating at that particular time, you have reduced the number of materials, like that, up to the end.
So you're thinking of reducing the number of polling stations?
That is one of the measures. The other measure is looking at what already exists. What is it that can be reused from the last general election,
okay,
so that we reuse it and we make sure that everything that we can do is exhausted from what was used in the last general election.
Okay. Njeri Kaiga asked you about voter registration suppression, saying that there was no voter education on this. As Gen Zs, they just noticed that you've started it.
Now, I think today marks the launch day. And we have been talking about it, really, even on our social pages, even on different forums. Our commissioners have come here, and we have really tried to do within our means with the limited budget that we have. But today being the first day, I think we shall continue coming out and doing voter education.
Right.
Later, when we are doing the enhanced voter registration, we shall hire voter educators to accompany the kids as they go around, and the people who shall be registering as going around.
The other one, she was concerned about Gen Z data safety, saying that you're highlighting and giving them more additional biometrics.
I think I need to explain, Trevor, why we are adding that extra biometric. When you go to the polling station, remember during the last election, there's what the people went all the way to court to ask for complementary method where your data fails, you cannot be identified by figure, you cannot be identified by face. Then Kenyans went to court to tell us you must use the complementary mechanism. And complementary mechanism was to kind of telling us, can you a bit revert to manual? And when you revert to manual, then Kenya tell you, no, we cannot go to identifying voters manually again. We have left that stage. So one of the issues, sometimes one biometric can fail. For example, you come with fingerprints, your fingerprints cannot be identified. So the only other option is to use the iris, and it will actually identify you. So I know you are familiar with 2-factor authentication, 3-factor authentication. We are only putting an additional authentication factor so that in case your biometric are not able to work, then you are able to use your fingerprints are not able to work.
The iris can work.
Iris.
Okay.
And there are only actually 3, only the face, only the fingerprints, and also the iris.
All right. I know there's more calls coming through, but I'd like to request that we hold calls so that we finish the questions and then we can come into new ones. Boundary review, she was asking, will you still do it, when, and the legality of the old results?
Now, under the leadership of our chairman, I think our chairman is very clear we need to have a serious conversation with Kenyans to which extent we are able to do the boundary delimitation. You remember, on 5th of September, the court returned the matter to us. We had a case had been filed at Supreme Court, but the court said, now that IEBC is in office, you really now have your independence to make your decision, because we cannot make the decisions now for you. That is the decision we are processing, so that under the leadership of the chairman, so that after that we are able to have that conversation. To which extent can we do the boundary delimitation given the timeline and the election that is ahead? There are public conversation with the institutions, and we look at every factor, including budget, including time, and including data for census and everything. Once we process that, we shall bring the conversation back to the public. Once Kenyans agree that we continue to which extent, because there are options. You can continue up to some extent, then you finish after election. You can finish depending on the conversation and the decision. I don't want to say that I have the decision whether we are continuing or not. We have to sit down and agree on that.
How will you deal with the split opinion? She mentioned like the Cherera 4 conversation.
You see, if you read the Supreme Court ruling after the general election, when the election results were upheld, one of the issues the court acknowledged, it said it was a boardroom rupture. A boardroom rupture does not start at the time when the rupture happens. It probably starts way before, where the commissioners have not gelled together, they are not able to read from one script. And what I know, under the chairmanship of Elastas Ethicon, I am sure we are going to fix the corporate governance issues, because it's a corporate governance issue, on looking at all the issues from an inclusive point of view of all the commissioners that are on board. And I can tell you for free, I think we can say that we have one of the commission that is most qualified. We're looking at all the people on the table that have been brought on the table, who knows exactly what they want to do and how. And then also, we have come all of us together. Remember, one of the issues, and I think, to be fair to what have been referred to Cherera for, they came in when processes have moved so much. They joined in. My question is, I was not there, but my question is, were they able to gel together, the older team and the new team, or did they feel left out from the process all through? And then were they able to participate? And you know, elections run very fast, especially towards the general election. Everything is running very fast. Probably you don't even have time to reflect and gel together, do team building and all that. From where we sit, I think us as a team, we are very determined to fix the corporate governance issues, because you have to look at the whole picture of corporate governance and work together under one chairman.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We have a call from Danson from Dallas, Texas. That's our diaspora representative. Danson, good afternoon. What are your questions?
Good afternoon, Trevor.
Yes, go ahead. Commissioner is listening.
Yes, so my question is to the Commissioner Anne, and thank you so much for coming to explain that. I've seen the gadget that is being used. We really applaud IEBC. But the question is for the diaspora. Today, you started by saying that Kenyans should trust our institution. And Kenyans in the diaspora, at the moment, they don't trust IEBC on onset, because we are nowhere to be factored in the voter registration. As you know, in the last general election, 12 countries were gazetted as voting centers. And out of it, we have 19 polling stations. Meaning, by law, those gadgets should be in these countries where Kenyans can go in and register and change their particulars. None at the moment. My question to you, Madam Commissioner, how much will it cost to send at least 19 officers in 12 countries to register Kenyans? There are 72 missions abroad where Kenyans get their services. Is it hard to send 72 officers in these countries? There are 4 million Kenyans abroad, and we are sending over 650 billion Kenyan shillings each year. Why should it be that we are neglected, we are not even considered, that we just come in the last minute? Last election, phase 1, we were not factored in. Phase 2, they came in like 1 week before the close of the registration process. Why should the 8-month factor apply in the country, but it comes to the diaspora? We are totally disbanded. So this is quite unfair. Many Kenyans have been calling me today, texting me, that why should new commissioners that have so much trust in onset defranchise Kenyans. And some of them have called them and said they are taking you to court for this because the 19 polling stations at the moment cannot change their document and also register. So I want to just you to respond for these millions of Kenyans abroad. Why have you decided not to send the officers? And there are very few. We are willing to host them. We are willing even to support their logistics on the ground. Why is it so hard, Madam Commissioners? And some of these officers, today they still have visas, valid visas. They can come to the U.S., they can go to Europe and other places. Why has the Commissioner decided to take away our right to register as voters in this phase? Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Danson. Danson Mukile there is a team leader, Diaspora Technical Working Group.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can answer him directly.
I can thank you so much, Danson. And I feel your case and your sentiments are well taken. First, we have 12 countries and 19 polling stations, and as you say, we have about 10,000 registered voters in diaspora. 58% of those voted. We used about 450 million Kenyan shilling for 10,000 Kenyan voters. And one of the issues that we are trying to look, first of all, how can we improve either registration or voting for peoples in diaspora. Number one, we want to add more countries, more than the 12 countries he has mentioned. We also want to add, in the existing countries, we consider, for example, that we have been registering in embassies and consulates. We want to expand that and have more polling stations within countries that already we have registered voters. And that is work in progress. We are actively engaging with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for purposes of data and ensuring that we know where we shall fix the polling stations and all that. And then after that, we shall embark to roll out the voter registration in the diaspora, probably in an intensive kind of manner, where we go maybe for a week, for a month, and ensure we register as many Kenyans as possible. So we have them in mind. We have also engaged them through various forums, including, we have a commissioner who is in charge of voter education, and he has been very keen in engaging them, even online, and discussions around areas. Commissioner Lutalala, many times he has engaged the people in diaspora through the online system. Some of them, when they come to the country, they have come to visit the commission. So I want to assure Charles that we have you in mind as people in diaspora, and we shall be expanding and extending that. Okay. What we may not be able to do is to keep an officer for a whole year within a country. Probably we may not have that kind of budget, but we shall have periodic registration of voters in the diaspora.
All right. I'd like to take online questions. There are quite a number of them coming through. I think Margaret Ruguru had 5 questions, but you've answered most of them already. She says, what mechanisms has IEBC put in place to prevent duplicate or ghost registrations in the voter roll? Yeah. This is what Roy...
I think Roy answered by saying that we are auditing the register.
Yes.
We are now registering. When we register you right now, it's not possible to be duplicated because we are capturing your data from the ID, and then the machine is tied to where you are coming from, and the duplication also happens within a short time. So
Number
you are
2,
able to see.
She says, that's Margaret Ruguru. She says, will the voter register be independently audited, and how can the public, especially young people, access and verify its accuracy? I think that also you answered earlier on. How will IEBC ensure that errors in voter data, such as wrong polling stations or misspelled names, are corrected promptly? You also answered that earlier on with Roy.
When we are
what safeguards are in place to protect biometric and personal data collected during voter registration from misuse or tampering? You also answered that. How will IEBC handle and transparently communicate any discrepancies or challenges that arise during the registration exercise?
I think we shall be very transparent in this particular time in terms of, first of all, giving updates on how many people are registering. Secondly, any error that arises from registration, we shall make it public so that Kenyans can correct their own errors. And, of course, you have seen, Trevor, we have minimized the error rate, because once you capture the data directly, it is impossible for the name to be misspelled, or the ID number, or any document that relates to personal data, because we are capturing the way they are captured in your ID, and it's the ID that you shall come with to verify. So I want to assure her that anything that happens in the polling station when you are registering, you really have an opportunity also to query the system. You do verify.ibc.or.ke. That's a link. Once you have that link, and you can get it in our website. If you go to our website, we are going to see the link, which you can check your data, and keep checking your data, because it's your data really, and it will come to you. So we protect your data by making sure it's only you who can check and verify your own data, not another person. So once you do that continuously, and you find there's any error, then you approach any registration officer and really correct the particulars. There's a system of correcting your, making corrections on your particulars. Okay. Yeah.
So for clarity purposes, at this particular point, this is a continuous voter registration. So where should one go?
The first place that a person goes, you carry your ID, appear in any of IEBC offices. There are 290 constituencies. The 290 constituencies, the constituency office. Of course, we have the county offices, and then the county offices, we are not taking registration there. Those ones where the registration is processed and the data is processed. But you go to the 290 constituencies, 8 to 5 any working day. Then you can also visit, in 2 weeks' time, you can start visiting the Huduma Center all over the country. We shall put officers there in Huduma centers. So we really encourage Kenyans, especially the young people, to come out and register as voters. And I want to tell the young people, it's one thing to hope that the country will be changed by others. And then you wait after the voting, then you start the same cycle of complaining this and this has not been done. But it's another thing to come out and register as a voter and also contribute in decision making on who become the leaders, right from grassroots coming all the way. So hoping that anybody else will work for you, and then you come and enjoy the country which has been really been leaders who have been voted for by others. Either you like them or you complain. Then hope is never a strategy. Hope can never be even a policy. So they better wake up, because hoping is not a strategy. Action, by coming out and registering and participating in election, is the game changer for the young people. Because this country is theirs more than it is for the older people. And it is their time and it is their generation that ought to really change the perspective of how they look at things, including voting. Okay.
Let me bring Duncan Okachi here as we wind up on this conversation. Duncan Okachi is an advocate of the High Court. Duncan, good evening. What are your questions to Commissioner?
Yeah, I think three very quick questions. Thank you for having me. The first issue is that under Article 83, the only requirement is for one to be an adult citizen, of sound mind, etc. If this is the qualifications, how comes during the voting exercise, one is required to carry all these other documentation? Because all you need then should be your ID. There should be nothing like a voter's card, which is an additional document. Secondly, there is an issue of trust deficit with IEBC. Of course, I hope they did exercise those offices because of the past that has been happening to the past regimes. However, the issue that comes about is the fact that they are all going in for a 6-year term at the same time. Assuming that this is the blessed IEBC team, as Madam Anderito is saying, what then will happen in terms of, maintaining this transitional aspect, because their term will come to an end at the same time. Remember, they do not have enough time to mark time and learn. So they only have 2 years. But assuming they still hack it, there should be an indication of, from themselves, how will they ensure that, their terms don't come to an end at the same time. There are several other issues in terms of Article 86, which requires an election process to be simple, verifiable, and accurate. The moment you want to, complicate it by now taking iris data, by now trying to say that tomorrow someone will come and take DNA test, for what purpose? Will it be complicating this? And especially doing what we call data overload, when some of these KIMS kits have not been working, especially because we have internet issues in many areas. So if this is the position and you overload, don't you think you are now creating more problems, especially to certain IEBC officials who will be in those remote areas? Because these require now visual, not just data. It will be visual, and visual in terms of the picture, in terms of the data, in terms of the iris, and all those issues. I think those are issues that once they look at, there are things that at least will help to instill some confidence in this process.
All right. Thanks, Duncan. Duncan Ukach, there was an advocate of the ECO.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yes.
Duncan, thank you for your questions. And I like the way you have quoted Article 83 of the Constitution, that you just need the ID. Truth to the matter is that we only ask for the ID. We don't ask for voter's card. When you appear in the polling station to vote or even to register, we only ask you either your ID or passport. And when you register with one, if you register with an ID, you must turn up to vote with an ID. If you register with a passport, you must turn up to vote with a passport. But at no point we ask for any other document for you to identify you. What we give after registration is what we call an acknowledgement slip. That acknowledgement slip, it's just like a receipt telling you that really you are registered. You can keep it for yourself. If anybody doubts that you are registered, you can show, I registered and this is my acknowledgement. But we do not require you to appear with an acknowledgement or any voter's card during voting. So that is settled. The second question,
your tenure will end at the same time. How will you handle the transition?
Before I come to that, he's talk about simple, verifiable, and accurate in terms of the process as captured in the Constitution. One, I think we are doing exactly that. We are making it simple. One, if you come, there are very many verifiable way of looking at it. But how is it verifiable? We want to verify you by looking at 3 features: your fingerprints, your face, and also your iris. I don't think those are so many biometrics to capture, and I want to assure Wakili that all these, the kits have capacity to capture all that data and to ensure that the data is well stored. These are very fast-moving machines as compared to the others. You can see when Roy was trying to register the two voters, he actually did it in a record for 3 minutes. It means it's moving, it's spinning at high speed to really capture data.
But it still uses the internet, right? It
uses the internet, and the internet is our own internet. It is what we call VPN. It is localized LAN internet that is there for us for security purposes. So you will not have issues in places in far-flung areas? Yeah, we will not have, because we shall process all this data at the constituency level, which have our internet. When you go, this gadget, when you are in the field, it can register you offline. You don't have to have internet for you to be registered when you are in the field. You go, you come with that data, it is in the kit, then that information is processed where the VPN, where we have our local network that is strictly for IEBC, for purposes of for security of that data. Verifiability. When you come, we are even writing, there's a green book. I don't know whether, Roy, you had the green book with you today. There's a green book. The first time you enter the registration center, you register all your details in a green book. Why should you claim that you are registered and you are not? We go to the raw primary data, which is written by your own handwriting and pen. We also tell you, sign your signature. So we are creating all this to create accuracy and verifiability of the register. So the kit has capacity and it's able to capture all that. And really, we don't ask people to come with any other document except either the ID or the passport. The other one is, our term is coming to an end at the same time. I think IEBC is designed that way. for everybody to come and leave, and then you come and start afresh. And I think I refer to the area case where when the two, unless you do it very early, midterm, if you bring a team towards the election, just towards the election, they are not likely to have time even to jail to be able to work together because of the activities of election. And it's not our own making. It is the making of the law and the process that are therein. And there's nothing wrong with us adding, because there's the institutional memory that lies with the Secretariat. And the Secretariat is a going concern. Majority of them are permanent and pensionable. So we take that institution memory to the Secretariat. Like now we have come in, we are moving with speed because we have a very able Secretariat that was processing work and documents and everything even before we came in. So we leave the institutional memory and the continuity of the institution with the Secretariat, which now is a going concern.
Okay. Your closing remarks, Commissioner.
My closing remarks is to call on Kenyans of all walks of life, young and old, women and men, every persons with disability, people in the far-flung areas to come out and register as voters, because that is the beginning of a credible election. The register of voters cannot be taken just like another document. It's not a document. It's actually the foundation of a credible election. So we request that all Kenyans to come. So my sons and daughters, the Gen Zs, I also request them also to really take this opportunity, because democracy must not be defended only on the street by throwing stones, of shedding of blood or destruction of property. Democracy can also be defended by the vote. So I think this is the high time to come out and defend democracy in this country using their vote. And
can you guarantee them that their vote will count?
I am guaranteeing them that their vote will count. Let them come and register and ensure that they also come and vote.
Okay.
They shall see that the election shall be transparent.